Mo, you gotta run the show. Dez is he's calmed down.
All right. I, I think we'll just pick up. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Sports in the Morning. This is your boy Mo. I got Dez. Hey, Dez, what are your thoughts on the ramifications of Game 7, Sixers versus Celtics? Your mic's off, Dez.
Oh, we're good now. Can you hear me now, Mo?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. How you doing? I think it's just a lot of ramifications with Doc Rivers and the pointing the fingers of Joel Embiid and James Harden. Um, you had a MVP go down the second round, Philly, multiple years going down the second round. The ramifications, I think Doc Rivers, I think will be let go. I mean, you got to look at it from the roster top to bottom, and you just say that Joel Embiid and James Harden need more help. That puts a slander on all the rest of the team. That I think put a good fight against a good Boston team in this series. So they just weren't consistent. But I think like the Suns did, they fired Monty Williams. I think Doc may go and they might have to start from scratch.
Do you think Doc should lose his job? I mean, coming into the series, I actually had the Celtics as the favorite. Like to me, if the Sixers had to beat the Celtics, that would have been an upset. And they took it to 7. And if you told me coming into the series that James Harden would get you 2 games, like he got you 2 games. Embiid is the MVP. He's got to get 2 himself, right? Like, and he didn't quite do that. You can say what you want about Harden had a poor game 7. Nobody had a good game 7 in Philly. So, do you think Doc should lose his job, or do they need to look at roster construction and think about this too? James Harden's a free agent. It's no secret he's not in love with Doc Rivers. If James Harden walks, how do they replace James Harden? Do you know what I'm saying? Like I would say there's more questions than answers in Philly, but to have some stability, I'm not so sure you're quick with firing Doc. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I wouldn't fire Doc off the jump. I would definitely try to get the player's opinion as well because it's fit, right? Like you said, James Harden is a free agent. We all know that, and I think if he does go, they need a point guard that can not only construct the offense, right? But it can kind of take some pressure off Joel Embiid. I know James Harden did that in the playoffs, especially against Boston, coming with a huge three and a clutch shots. Um, but just a little bit more consistency, using the pick and roll a little bit more, getting guys more involved in roster reconstruction. Tobias Harris is definitely coming on strong in that series, close to the end of that series. I think they need got to get a little bit better on their bench, a little bit more offensively because they kind of seem stagnant too. Their offense could be a little bit more fluid and a little bit more ball movement, a little bit more motion. I think they're right there because there was a lot of one-on-one basketball, and their offense is really pretty simple. You got somebody in the corner, you got Harden dribbling, but they need a point guard that can kind of distribute the basketball, keep the defense on their toes because Boston, you kind of seen they just kind of fell with the James Harden's three or Joel Embiid or Harris, but that was pretty much it. I think Maxi's a great bright spot for them though because I mean he's quick, he's fast, he's young, and he can understand the game. But they need another point guard that can kind of distribute, kind of that change of pace type point guard. But they're not far off for sure. They're not far off.
Do you think? Did you hear the rumors? Do you think Kyrie Irving would be a good fit? Because that to me that's a good fit if you're playing 2K. I'm not sure that's a good fit if you're trying to win a championship. Like you could criticize certain things about James Harden, but as a point guard, I'm talking about actually distributing the ball. He's better at that than Kyrie ever will be. Kyrie's not really a point guard. Kyrie's a 6'2" shooting guard.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think Kyrie would be a good fit. I heard a rumor. I was like, I just don't think that's a good fit. Like you said, Mo, this is not 2K where you put a player in and he might go off. I mean, that's I just don't feel that is a great fit for him at all because then that's another primarily ball handler like James Harden that wants to score the basketball, right? Um, I'm trying to think of names that would kind of just distribute. I mean, not be too flashy, but just enough to distribute the basketball. But when Joel Embiid's not, hitting shots, or you're in double teamed, you got to have another primary scorer, right, to kind of take over a game. Um, Cry like a D, like I don't know, like a D'Lo for the Lakers, something like that for Philly. You know, someone that can distribute the basketball, someone that can not just be the second or third option for that offense, but at least share the load. Because you see Boston, you have Brown, you have Tatum, you have Marcus Smart that plays great defense, and doesn't really lack. Once he misses a shot, he gets back on defense. So somebody that can do all three phases of the game, I think that's what Philly needs. Because the city of Philadelphia, they all know like it's mental toughness, it's toughness, and they just need somebody that with some grit. I feel they need somebody with some grit, to be
I,
honest.
I, I understand that. I mean, I guess my thinking here is this: that it seems like it's the heat comes from James Harden, right? And if James Harden has a failure, the first thing people want to do is bring up James Harden's past failures because obviously he's had struggles in the playoffs. And I'm not trying to defend every season James Harden has struggled in the playoffs, but I would say this: people didn't kill T Mac, and T Mac struggled in the playoffs all the time. Whenever he was in the playoffs, and he was the man, never get out the first round. As much as people love Chris Paul in actual success, he hasn't had any more playoff success than James Harden has, and he doesn't get killed nearly as much as James Harden. I'm just saying that if you came into this series and Embiid's on the sidelines and you found that Harden won game one, he won game one. Then he won, was it game 4 or 5? He won, and he gave you another one. I understand the struggling, but what I'm trying to say is Doc Rivers wanted James Harden to be the third option. He didn't bring him there. He actually changed James Harden role. That might be one of the reasons why they don't click. James is used to being ball dominant and being able to attack more offensively, and Doc wanted him to be take a back seat, obviously, to Embiid, but I think this year to Maxey as well. And so
Yeah.
criticism should be across the board. I do agree with you. Doc deserves some. Embiid deserves some. Look, if you're at the top of the roster, you take
Hmm.
you take the man share of the criticism.
Exactly.
But I
Exactly.
don't think nobody has clean hands in this situation. And if you're Philly going forward, Joel Embiid is not the kind of guy that in year 12, 13, or 14, he's not going to be what he is today
Right. He
because
won't.
he's one of those guys that he's literally breaking down now. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
He's breaking down. He's falling every time you see him on the basketball court. He's falling. he had
and
a.
they actually teach him how to fall to try to sustain himself, but I don't see him being an MVP candidate in year 12. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a short window of his prime at the top of his game, and they've got to find a way to max out that prime, that window. And I think they're setting themselves up for failure. Like if they should lose James Harden, and I think James Harden is doing this, Des. I think he's saying, well, it's either me or Doc, right? If Doc's coming back, I'm not. And that's a tough spot for Daryl Morey, who loves James Harden. And you figure if Daryl Morey's the GM, it's a lot easier to move a coach than it is a star player. So I
Doubt.
don't
No
think
doubt.
it's fair that Doc loses his job. But if they truly want Harden back, it looks like Doc's going to be the odd man out. And I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong. In this league, we talk about it all the time. Star empowerment. Star players have the ability to decide coach's fate. I don't think it's an accident that Coach Bud got fired and people are like, well, Giannis is going to be angry. No, he's not. They didn't make that decision without talking to Giannis. Monty Williams got fired in Phoenix. I'm sure they ran that by Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Monty's gone. Um, and let's get into that. Let's transition into the Phoenix situation. You bring in Kevin Durant, you trade all those assets, and you get knocked out in the second round in a game 6 at home with another 30-point blowout. I'm asking you from the outside looking in, not just because you're a Nuggets fan, but if you're an NBA fan, is Phoenix closer to a championship, or was this year their window and they're further away when you look down the road? Because Chris Paul's not younger, And they're talking about not bringing him back, and that's fine if they choose to do that. But if you're not bringing him back, who's going to replace Chris Harden? And by the way, with the rumor mill, the name James Harden came up with Phoenix as well. Your thoughts on that?
Um, from an outside like fans, for not a Nuggets fan perspective, um, I feel that for Phoenix, they it's not their NBA window now. I feel like they're close. I thought, and I think we talked about this in several episodes when they traded for Kevin Durant. That was their Hail Mary right there for this season to make up for defensive laps and guys straining, right? Even before Kevin Durant got there, Chris Paul, right? Uh, um, Devin Booker, they were straining on defense. And you notice when KD got there, their offense started to click, but they didn't really have a lot of time to play together at all. I mean, until the playoffs came, they didn't really play that much together. And then when the playoffs came, they kind of strung some, continuity together. The thing that for Phoenix, I think they're probably maybe like a year or two away from probably getting to another title run. Um, with Denver, they just had so much depth. That's one thing that Phoenix will have to look during this offseason is depth. Um, you have Torrey Craig, you have Landry Shamet, Damian Lee, you have others, Biombo, that were on your bench. That your bench wasn't your bright spot in this round. They actually tried to show up and show out. It did for the first couple games, right? Three and four, but after that, it kind of just took a tumble. Fatigue is another thing as well. And we already know the coaching as well. I think Monty Williams did a great job. Um, honestly, in this playoffs, I think it was just a lot of lack of effort. DeAndre Ayton, we all know that he's not happy, right? So that core needs to be reassembled. They might have to get another big man during this offseason. How is that continuity going to work with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker? That's a question that has to be answered. And then, like you said, the second question is the depth. What are they going to do in this offseason to make sure they have the depth like Denver, the Lakers, and all these other teams in the playoffs right now? Because that helps your stars out. When your stars are playing 40 plus minutes, and you got to think about Devin Booker. That puts a wear and tear on a player's career. We all know it's the summertime and they're done with the playoffs, right? But that's good. That does wear down a player by time, the mentality, right? Um, and money talks too. I mean, their owner, they got a lot of money to spend. But with KD's contract, I looked at that. In his last year, in his contract, he's making a lot of dang money. He's making a lot of dang money. I think he's gonna be top five in the league in his salary cap, like what he makes.
Well, they've
Um,
got 3 max players. Remember that with
yeah,
Chris
they got three.
Paul.
Yeah,
Even if they trade Chris, they got to get rid of that contract before they
yeah.
try to add anything else.
And that's the third question. Who would want to take Chris Paul? Nothing against Chris Paul by any means, but who would want to take Chris Paul with that max contract?
At
His
this
age,
stage of his career.
in his age of his career. People try to blame, okay, Chris Paul was close, and then he failed. Like, no, 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 it's an injury. It's a groin. You can't control a groin injury. But the thing is, when that groin injury happened, the Suns needed somebody else to step up. They have so many dang shooting guards and not point guards. You had Karen Payne try to get into the game. I think they could have asserted him a little bit more in rotation in these playoffs because the way that Denver and all these other teams do change at pace, right? But going forward, the biggest three things is who's your big going to be next year? Because it doesn't look like it's going to be DeAndre Ayton. The second thing is how's your bench going to look up? How's your depth? Who wants to play for Phoenix? I think after this playoff series here, I think Phoenix is a definitely attractive destination for free agents this year. You have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. If I'm a role player and I got to play, 15 plus minutes, but I got to score at least 10, 15 during the regular season, when it comes to playoff, probably score more towards the 20 or 17-point range, I'm fine with that. And you got to think who's the coach going to be too as well. That's going to be a big question during
That's
this
very
free agency
important.
period because any coach's system is not going to work for any type of player that wants to play there. So I say probably 2 or 3 years because you got to get to the system, the coach, the big because it doesn't sound like DeAndre Ayton's going to be there. And they want to move on from him. So they're trying to free up some cap space with him. But that and who's going to be your point guard? Because if it's going to be Chris Paul, and you're going to run it back for maybe 1 or 2 years. What's the likelihood that other players in the free agency want to play with Chris Paul and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant? So
Well,
we'll
that's
see.
a good question. What star players? Because you're right. It's no question. Look, before the series started, the first thing we talked about was their depth. Phoenix didn't have depth. We were on that leading up to the playoffs. They have no depth. But more importantly, look, I think Chris Paul has value, but I think his value now I'm sure he don't want to hear this, but I think his value now is more of a rotation player. You don't want to rely on him as a starter. You just don't, because he just around playoff times, his body just breaks down over the course of a season. I don't know if he can handle that new role at this point in his career, but maybe he could. Maybe he could understand that. I would say this: you think they've got 2 or 3 years. I would say this: Kevin Durant's going to be 35. I don't think they got 2 or 3 years. I think they got next year, and that's it. And really, let's go back to Brooklyn. KD was great a couple years back in that series against Milwaukee, right? He was great in it. Even though they lost, you saw the greatness of Kevin Durant. But last year in the playoffs versus Boston, Boston showed you two things. One, he's getting older, and making him play in a crowd is a problem. He struggles. Look, we talk about different eras all the time. But for the amount of physicality they allow, even in this era, he's not built for it. He can't handle it. He can't stand it. It does impact him. Boston harassed him and frustrated him. And then this year, your Nuggets did the same thing. Aaron Gordon bodying him up when he had the ball, before he got the ball. KCP challenging his handle, which I told you they were going to do because he has a high handle. Kevin Durant is not in his. I would say, let me ask you this, Des. Right now, today, we would both agree KD's still a top 10 player, but not top 5 anymore. Like, if he's top 10 still, isn't he kind of like in the back end of the top 10 now? Like, he's falling back.
He's falling back.
He's falling back.
Yeah.
He's not that. He's still a great player, but to me, at this stage of his career, he's more of the sidekick, not the main guy. Even throughout the series, clearly Devin Booker was their best player throughout the playoffs. Kevin Durant struggles with a certain type of defense, and he's only going to be a year older. I actually think that if Phoenix doesn't win it all next year, it's a wrap. And yes, you want to move off of Ayton, but what are you going to get in return for Ayton? Because let's face it, his only weakness is his lack of effort sometimes, his engine, if you want to say that, or his motor. He's a talented player. I think Monty Williams wanted him to be a great player, but I think his ceiling is just good player. Like, you can pencil him in, Des, for 18 and 10, but he's not going to give you 35 and 20. He's not going to give you a 40-point game. That's not in his DNA. That's not who he is. He's less Akeem Olajuwon and more Benoit Benjamin. So that's the reality of who he is. And if you trade him, you can move him, but what do you think you're going to get in return? You're not getting a star back for Ayton. The most teams are going to offer you are probably role players or cap space at best.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, Mo. Go ahead.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's what Phoenix will take. Like, we'll take the cap space and we'll go out and try to pursue someone else. But I actually think Phoenix is not going to win. Look, I don't think they're going to win a title.
Yeah,
and I just don't see it happening. They had this window, right, when they went to the finals a couple of years back, and the year before this current season, they looked like they were on their way back to the finals, and they collapsed. Remember, Luka blew them out by 30 in a home Game 7. And then you lose in a Game 6 closeout by 30 again to the Nuggets.
Exactly.
That's what got Monty Williams fired.
Yeah.
I think they could have lost the series, but sometimes it's how you lose and in what fashion. You don't think in management's head they were sitting there like 30 points again? Like, and that, let's keep it 100. That's not all on the coach. That's on Devin Booker. That's on Kevin Durant, because at some point they both caved. They both quit as well. But like we've said before, it's a lot easier to fire a coach than to lose a star. The Nuggets were just the better team. We talked about this throughout the season. The two deepest teams in the NBA, Celtics and your Nuggets. Speaking of your Nuggets, let's transition to them. Your Nuggets, Des, are in the Western Conference Finals. Congratulations, bro. How do you feel about your Nuggets facing up against my LA Lakers for the right to go to the NBA Finals?
It's going to be a pound for pound matchup. I'm going to the game tonight. I was telling Key I'll definitely try to get a footage for the network, but it is one of those matchups where, as a fan, I'm not worried about LeBron or Anthony Davis. I think Denver. And I know you're a Laker fan. The thing that the Lakers have a weakness now. Now, mind you, this is the fourth time these teams have met in the Western Conference Finals, right? Four times. Last time they played each other in the Western Conference Finals, that was the bubble, right? KCP was on the team, right? Um, and now, as both teams explained during their little press conferences yesterday, these are totally two different teams.
They are.
Um, After the trade deadline, they have not played each other since after the trade deadline. They didn't play each other. So, like Nikola Jokic said, they're totally different Laker team. The thing that I think the Lakers have going for them is the experience with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. There's several other players on the team as well that have playoff experience, especially in the Western Conference Finals. For Denver, we have Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, and Nikola Jokic. We have KCP, right? Jeff Green. So they know what it takes to get there, but they want to get over that hump. The thing for the Nuggets, they have an advantage, a slight advantage. In 2020, the Lakers had a lot of bigger guys, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, to throw at Nikola Jokic to give him fits because we all know this is not no secret. When Nikola Jokic starts passing the basketball, that Nuggets offense is potent, man. It is literally potent. Ball movement, motion, screens, rolling, everything. But you got to give credit to LeBron. LeBron, he knows plays. He knows plays. He will read plays. The guy is a vet. He will read the play and diagnose it and
Super
break
high
it down.
basketball IQ.
High basketball IQ. For the Lakers, the only ding I think for the Lakers is who are you going to put Jokic on? You got Tristan Thompson and Mo Bamba's back in LA getting his ankle work done right now. So you have Tristan Thompson. You got some bigs, but Anthony Davis and Nikola Jokic, I think that's going to be the key matchup in this series. Nikola Jokic, Anthony Davis. LeBron can be a factor for sure. I think Denver, they know they can, LeBron will go off. They can't contain him, but minimize it, right? Anthony Davis, same thing. Who's going to match up on who? We've seen it in the Philly series, right, where Joel Embiid got kind of exposed a little bit with Boston with that little pick and roll and making him play defense. I'm telling you right now, Nikola Jokic, Denver watched that game. They watched that game. They seen how Boston toyed with Joel Embiid and making him have to play in space and play defense and tired and worn him out. He was going more to the free throw line in the second quarter than shooting field goal attempts. I feel like this is a great matchup all across the board, even the bench. I think it's a pound for pound heavyweight matchup. There's experts saying, that Lakers will win it because LeBron, is trying to seek for his fifth title. I get it, but I feel that it's not just Nikola Jokic. You just feel a certain type of feel, man, where it's going to be at least 7 games. It's not going to be one of these 4-0 sweeps or 4-2. It's going to go a 7-game series. I think that Denver will pull it out. And the only reason why, because that depth of Denver and the bigs. Like the Lakers don't have the bigs like they used to when they played them in the bubble. You only got Anthony Davis, Tristan Thompson. I don't know who else they have on the bench. They have Hachimura that can probably play some defense on Jokic. They probably might do some blitzing and different type of looks. But and Darvin Ham, you got to give credit, Mo. I give credit to your coach. He is a great, decent, defensive-minded coach. So he's definitely trying to work and see what he can do on matchups. But I just feel that Denver, they have so much depth, and the two players that used to play for the Lakers are on the Nuggets, Thomas Bryant and KCP. So you already know KCP knows LeBron, and LeBron knows KCP. But Thomas Bryant, with that trade, we haven't really seen him play much in these playoffs. We haven't seen him much play since he's gotten acquired.
You might as well send
So
him back to the Lakers.
you might as well send him back to the Lakers. But you never know. You never know if and the thing I like about Denver, my team, we have so much versatility. Like Peyton Watson hasn't even touched the surface yet. Zeke
You know
Naji
what my
hasn't.
favorite player in your team is, Des? It's easy to say Joker because he's great. He's great.
Yeah,
Jamal Murray is my actual favorite.
yeah.
He always has been. But I'm talking about the guy that maybe nobody's thinking of. It's
Hmm.
the young kid, Christian Braun.
Yeah, he's
I love
scrappy.
that. I love that kid. I'm gonna say this.
Hmm.
He's probably not coming into the series with the reputation of being the Nuggets' best defender, but I think he's their best perimeter defender on the low. KCP is great.
Yeah,
And Bruce Brown's really good. I like Aaron Gordon. I don't think Aaron Gordon is as good in space because he's not as quick as the other guys. But I think Christian Braun, he has the strength, the athleticism to guard multiple positions.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with that kid. So that guy right there, I think is going to play a big role in this series.
No doubt, Christian Braun for sure. I think KCP, Bruce Brown as well. We gotta give credit to Bruce Brown. Denver's defensive game and how they harass Devin Booker is not going to be the same for LeBron because LeBron's IQ is so high. For the Lakers, I think the Lakers they need D'Lo to step up a little bit more because you think about it, that takes pressure off LeBron and AD and Anthony Davis. The only question you have as a Laker fan and probably me as a fan, as a Nuggets fan for this series, can you stay healthy? Because right now we already know the injury report. It's already been out. LeBron James, we all know right foot soreness. Anthony Davis, similar type situation, but they're both going to play. You know,
Right.
the thing is, can Anthony Davis stay healthy? And Nikola Jokic, he said this. He said that, he's so just genuine, just so fluent. I know everybody's like, "Oh, Jokic, Jokic, Jokic," but this guy literally does not care about. He's like, this is. Someone asked him like, "Hey, what do you think about this game?" And he's like, "These, this, I don't." He's like, "Whatever they did in 2020, I forgot about it." Yeah, I don't think they he really I don't think they forgot about it as a team. That's more motivation for them because you look about it, they're not like Mo. They're not even satisfied for being in the Western Conference Finals. When you could tell great teams for good teams, right? Once they beat the Suns, they did not throw champagne bottles or spray it or high fives. They literally sat
Right.
down in the locker room like it was another regular game. Nobody really cheered, and Maloney said, "Nobody's cheering right now. We got 8 more games to go. We got 8 more games." That's their mentality. I like that. Not saying the Lakers don't have that mentality, but they're overshadowed by LeBron and AD. But if you take those two out the equation, you have Hachimura. Reeves is starting to step up a little bit. You have Dennis Schroeder distributing the basketball really, really well. And Denver will definitely have to defend that. I think the thing that's going to be the advantage for Denver, at least in game one, the altitude. You could see the Lakers yesterday was shoot around tired. LeBron looks tired. And the reporter even asked, "Hey, does the altitude play a factor? It's like going east to west coast, right? That time zone. It will affect you in the first quarter." LeBron said it will affect you a little bit in the second quarter. By the third or fourth quarter, you'll start to get adjusted to it. Plus, you'll be there in a couple of days, so you adjust to the altitude. But I think Denver on their home floor at least get game one tonight. They've been really good at home too, as well for Denver. The teams
I
both
think
split
they've
their
been
defense.
one of the best, if not the best team in the league at home.
Yeah, I think they've been. If I'm not mistaken, they've been. I think we've been undefeated at home. Yeah, we've been undefeated at home. Our only losses in the playoffs have been on the road. On the road, we're not as great, but on at home at our home floor. And I'm going to the game tonight, Mo. You'll see it.
Oh,
You'll see it.
are you going to be there in person?
Yes, I'm gonna go to the game. I'm
What's
going to the
up,
game,
man?
man. So I'm like, I won't lie. I'm not just saying this as a Nuggets fan or as a Denver fan, but any type of Denver sports team that makes a run like this, the city is behind them. It's going to be loud. It's going to be rocking at that ball arena. And I'm going to tell you right now, as a Laker player, it is a hostile environment. And I can tell you right now, they can say same thing, in LA. They don't like Jokic. I can tell you right now, there's not a lot of LeBron fans. There's some Laker fans out here. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be so loud, so obnoxious. And I
There's
think
Laker fans everywhere.
there is, but I'm just saying it's just not. I just don't think game one. I just think game one is not going to go to the Lakers. They're going to get punched in the mouth.
Look,
Game two, man.
you're
I,
supposed to feel that way. You're a Nuggets
you
fan,
know,
and
but
you're excited.
you,
You're excited.
exactly.
Look, I'll say this: I think the altitude will affect the guys who haven't experienced it as much. So maybe Vanderbilt, um, maybe Hachimura. I think Austin Reeves. There'll be guys that it does impact, but it's not LeBron's first dance there. It's not AD's first dance there. So it it will have an impact. I think it has a bigger impact depending on what kind of game it is. So if the Nuggets control pace and they play at their pace, then it's going to be an issue for all the Lakers. I don't care. I don't care what LeBron says. It'll be an issue for him as well. I think that's a key thing that we leave out sometimes. Who plays at their pace? The Lakers will run when it's opportune, but more times than not, LeBron, he wants to walk it up. He wants to dissect the defense. He's going to try to go to AD. He'll get in the post. My guess is the Nuggets are going to play Aaron Gordon to start out on LeBron. He's going to take Aaron Gordon in the post. Aaron Gordon's a big, strong guy. LeBron's a bigger, stronger guy. That matchup is just one because they're going to put KCP on him. They're going to put Bruce. They're going to put multiple players on LeBron depending on where he plays. But my guess is he's going to look to get others involved in the first quarter and then pick his spots as the game progresses. I think your team is deeper. I don't disagree with that. But the Lakers play with a shorter rotation anyway, so we go about 8 deep more times than not. So you can only have 5 players on the floor at the same time. I'll say this to you because you might not have heard this. I actually did a podcast a couple days ago, and I was like, in an arrogant way, I said once the Lakers beat Golden State, I said they're going to the NBA Finals. That's not to be disrespectful of the Joker. Jokic is a great player. And I think when Jamal Murray's playing at an all-star, almost superstar level, you guys are almost unbeatable. Joker's your best player, but Jamal Murray's your most important player. When he's at the top of his game, you guys are special. You're unique because of his shot creation and his shot making ability. He can do things when the offense breaks down that nobody else on the Nuggets can do. That's what makes you guys unique. And I don't know if there's any one player in the Lakers that can guard Jamal Murray when Jamal Murray's on, nobody can guard him. So
That's true. That is true. I gotta
yeah,
give you credit to your Lakers though. The Lakers in these last 2 series have won game one on the road, so that's a testament to the Lakers. Um, and you gotta give credit where it's due. The Lakers, if they knock out game one on tonight, as a Denver fan, you have to look at it. Okay, you got to get game two. You got to get game two. You do not want to be 0-2, but they take it one game at a time.
you
I
should
think
take it one game at a time, right?
you
But
know.
look, if you're a Nuggets fan, you guys are going all in on game 1 too, right? You want to establish right away we're not giving away home court advantage because you know LeBron is like, if you're going to take home court advantage away, usually the best opportune time is game 1. Everybody's a little rusty. It's a feel out game, but that's the best opportunity because you might not get the best version of the Nuggets if they're not sharp. So the game 1 is so key for both teams. Look, I picked the Lakers to win, obviously the same way you picked your Nuggets to win. And it wouldn't shock me though if the Nuggets won the series. It wouldn't shock me. I'm just of the belief that Denver took a huge step getting to the conference finals. And I'm not never going to shade the fact that they're the deeper team. I do think it does matter how close LeBron is to that 5th title. It does factor in because I think you'll get whatever he has to offer because the same way I thought this was a big key year for Embiid, I don't think this Laker team is built to where they're going to go on like a 2 or 3 season run and win multiple titles. This is a big opportunity right here and now. I don't think the chips fall where they may every season. So next season, this could be a completely different Laker teams in the sense that D'Angelo Russell's a free agent. Austin Reeves is going to want his money, and there's going to be a lot of teams looking at both those guys willing to offer them that money. So this opportunity is one of those things you can't waste. As a gentleman and as a member of the family, hey, all the best to you, Daz. I'm rooting for your Nuggets to do their best. Look, in a perfect world, we get a 7-game series that comes down to the last possession.
No doubt, no doubt. It's gonna be a good series, man. It's a heavyweight fight, and I mean, this is exactly what happened in the bubble. These last 4 teams in the bubble last time, and we'll see. Like I said, we'll see. I think it's going to be a great matchup tonight. I think it's going to be a great matchup across the board through this whole series. Fan base are going to be up and supportive. I think for both sides. I think LeBron, AD know the challenge at hand. I think Denver, they know at hand. It's so collectively and guys buying in, and you got to give credit to Darvin Ham and Mike Malone, both coaching staffs did a phenomenal job this year. Phenomenal job.
I
So
like Mike Malone because he's really vocal.
he,
Really,
oh God, he lost his voice during the last round, and he
yeah,
got his voice back.
like
And
me.
yeah, I almost lost it, man. I was like, "What are we doing?" But when we blew Phoenix out, you could just see that Denver, they just had that poise, and I mean, I definitely put them in my little parlays to win the title. So if they go all the way and win it, that'll be great. But the biggest thing that I think Mike Malone's going to preach on, he's been preaching all series, all playoff defense. That's the biggest thing, defense. Like you said, LeBron, AD are going to go in the post. I mean, in their shooting around, they were doing dang post shots. I think 20 shots apiece with Hachimura. And
You
you know
made
that
a
just
great point earlier, Des.
mm,
Look, it's going to
mm.
come down to I don't know if Joker and AD are going to guard each other consistently throughout,
Yeah.
But this might come down to which one of them can stay out of foul trouble.
Foul trouble and
You know what
health.
I mean? Because that's going to be so key as well. Because if AD's in foul trouble and you've got to play Hachimura more, or you've got to really go deep into your bench and play Tristan Thompson, that could very well turn the series around something like that. So
Yeah.
I'm sure both guys, Joker and AD, are going to come out aggressive.
They're gonna come aggressive, and the biggest thing I think in this whole playoffs, right? Health has been it's not been an issue, but it's been pretty fairly clean, right? You know, Tyler Hero with the hand, I think the wrist, but he's gonna be back pretty soon. You think? Because I mean, they're already to Eastern Conference Finals for the Miami Heat. Um, I feel like health has been really well in this playoffs. I think a lot of people have not. I didn't expect anybody to be like injury prone or go down super early, but the injuries have been to a minimal. And we're now to the finals. Will somebody go down? I'm not wishing on anybody to be hurt, but you guys say this has been fairly clean. Been physical playoff series. I'm not wishing on Anthony Davis by any means, but you've seen in every series he's been kind of hit banged up a little bit, right?
He hits the floor a lot.
And
He hits
that's the
the
thing. I
floor a
mean, he's a
lot.
tall guy, and I just feel that, like you said, Christian Braun, he is so physical, great perimeter defender. Austin Reeves and Hachimura, Denver will definitely make it. Like you said, this is game one. This will be to me. This is more of a feel out game. I think after game 2, 3, that's when you see teams understand each other's plays, playing. You know, they know. So I think Denver will make some adjustments. I know the Lakers made some adjustments. And the good thing about both teams, they won. I think the Nuggets won like 24 hours before the Lakers did. The Lakers had to win that
Yeah.
game to get to to at least keep pace with Denver because Denver's like, okay, we're getting some rest. Nope, the Lakers said nope, we only getting 24 hours, and now we're moving on to the next round. The good thing about this for Denver, I think just for the series in general, the games are not that late. They're not that late. I think they're pretty good times. So that's good for I think the fans and the teams as well. So it's gonna be a good series. I think it's gonna go 7 game series. I think LeBron's used to this pressure because I mean every news outlet you look at is asking what will LeBron do? Will LeBron do?
I think Joker's ready for this moment too.
Yeah, I think both stars are ready for this moment. They definitely they haven't downplayed the questions, but they're so locked in. Jokic, like you said, he's not even really thinking. Not saying he's not thinking about the Lakers, but he knows what LeBron brings to the table, and he's not comparing what they did 4 years ago, 3 years ago in that bubble. This is out the bubble. This is on their home court. I think what Mike Malone might do is use that bubble loss as motivation because even KCP said that Nuggets team was close, but this is a totally different team for both sides. But
A
I
lot of
think,
people have brought that up though.
yeah,
That the in the conference finals you've got the 4 bubble teams. All I will say is this: to me it's not a thing. It's not a
no,
thing.
no,
If your Nuggets had won the title, then that would have been a championship.
yeah,
If the Celtics had won, then that would have been a championship. Like this idea that somehow it's a lesser championship, I disagree with that.
right,
Everybody had the same opportunity. They did. The Clippers were supposed to be the team that was going to win it all, and maybe who knows? Maybe had the Clippers matched up with the Lakers, they would have beat us. But thanks to you guys, that wasn't an issue because you guys came back from 3-1 and took them out. So the fact that it's the 4 teams again to me is just a coincidence. I don't think it's one of those things where it was people were downplaying the bubble. These are really the Nuggets are a great franchise. They're a great team. The Lakers came from the 13th spot, made the play in, and matchups kind of fell in their favor, right? Let's be real. They kind of fell in their favor. And I thought the scariest matchup would have been Golden State because you never you never sleep on what they could or couldn't do. Because when they're on, they can hit you in waves and you can't recover from them. And we did a really good job of bottling up Steph. Clay never got off. He was a non-factor. Jordan Poole was a non-factor. We beat them. I don't think they were at their best, but I think that we bottled them up. So when they say it's bad Warrior offense, I think mostly because of good Laker defense.
but I think great Laker defense. I think guys actually knowing their role, stepping up. The thing is for the Lakers, can they keep that consistent? That's the only. I mean, they got a good bench. The thing is can they keep that consistent? You know, Austin Reeves has definitely stepped up this year. He's going to get a bag at the offseason. He's going to get a bag.
Sure.
Hachimura, he's definitely stepped up. Right, great addition. Like you said, it's not coincidence that all 4 teams from the bubble made it to the conference finals now. That's testament to all the four teams and their GMs and their staff. They are well built. And Jimmy Butler, I mean, last season when they came up short, he said we'll be right back here. And guess what happened? They're right back in it, right? Denver. They weren't healthy enough, but guess what? They're right back in it. LeBron last year wasn't really great, but you know what? They're right back in it. And then you had the Celtics almost a couple games away from winning the finals title. Now you're right back in it. They're reconstructed differently, deeper. All four teams are deep. All
The
four
only
teams.
team that surprised me, Des,
Yeah,
being in the Final Four, is Miami.
yeah. I think that's
It's Miami.
mhm.
And that's no disrespect. I mean, look, playoff Jimmy is a thing, and that's the surprise that they're here. But they're here, and they've got a certain style.
Mhm.
They have a way of making you play their way.
Yeah.
So, no question, as we transition into the East, when you look at the matchup, Celtics versus Miami, is it just as clear as the Celtics are the better team? They're probably going to win it in 5 or 6 games. Or do you think the Heat can either push them or win the series?
I think the Heat will push them. I think the Heat, Jimmy buckets, Kyle Lowry. You might get a Tyler Hero back in there. Um, I think this may go a 6 game to 7 game series as well. Bam Adebayo is huge. You looked at the final games, right, when the Heat were trying to close out this last series. When Butler wasn't scoring, Bam Adebayo was a factor.
He was
He was
big.
a factor. And like you said, Mo, Boston has those bigs to the point where they can match up with Bam Adebayo. Al Horford, right? Deep three guy can shoot the tray from long range still. There's other guys as well that step up for Boston. Um, I feel that this series will go at least 6 games. The difference maker for me is defense. Who will be more disruptive? Because if you disrupt Jimmy Butler, they have Strus, they have other shooters, but who can give you that second or third scoring option? Because say if Kyle Lowry's off and Jimmy Butler's off, then who do you go to? Bam. But say if all three are off, right? You have an off night. Then you're just straining. Who is going to be that guy
Right.
that can step up off the bench for Miami? Where the Celtics, if you have Jason Tatum not having a so good night, which I think that's not going to happen. If he's not straining, if he's not pressing, he'll be the Jason Tatum that we've seen in game 7, 51 points, 52 points, I believe, right? Scoring, Jalen Brown. When those two are in sync, and you have Marcus Smart, oh God, and then you have Derek White and Brogdon. You haven't brought them into the fold yet. I think it will, like I said, 6 game series. I go with the Celtics, and the only way the Heat can win this is playing defensive-minded Miami Heat basketball. Pat Riley defensive-minded basketball, and the key is for Miami: can they disrupt Jason Tatum? Because if you disrupt Tatum, they have to go to Brown, and if Brown's off, then you have a chance. But if both are in sync, it is so hard to cut that two-headed monster. Um, and they don't really have to involve Al Horford or the bigs as well. So people say Miami because the fact that Jimmy Butler and what he brings to the table, um, and Bam Adebayo. I just think Miami needs one more person. If they have somebody else step up besides Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, I think they got a fighting chance. But it's going to come down to defense. It's going to come down to who wants it more. And I think that the Celtics, they just got so much depth that I think Boston, not Boston, but Miami may come up short. But people are saying Miami and Denver already. We have to see when these series play out because it could be a Celtics and Lakers final series. So it's just going to come to defense and who wants it more. What do you think, Mo?
I agree with all your points, especially about Boston's depth, because they present a problem to teams that most teams can't. Yes, Brown and Tatum are their two main guys, but then you've got Brogdon and White, who both have the ability to give you 20 points on a given night. And Derek White is, Marcus Smart is a great defender, as is Derek White. Tatum and Brown, most number one and number two options, they don't defend the way those two guys defend. Boston's depth is what puts you in a headlock, because you can be in a tight game with them, as Philly was in game 6, and you think you've got it locked up, and it's a grinded out game, and Tatum goes off for 16 points in the fourth quarter. Miami, I think they have a smaller margin for error, Des, because if the Celtics can control Jimmy Butler, not stop him, but let's say you keep Jimmy, he's averaging around 22, 24 points a game. If you can control Jimmy and the shooters don't get those open looks, because Boston won't double. They don't like to double. They're going to push up. I don't know what the other options are because other than Jimmy Butler, they don't really have a lot of guys that can create off the dribble. Like maybe Kyle Lowry to some extent, but when you're trying to create off the bounce in a crowded area, the only guy they have that can do those type of things that draw a double or makes a defense move is Jimmy Butler. They're going to have to try to find offense, I think, by just by ball movement and player movement. And that worked obviously in the first round when they upset the Bucks. And look, a lot of that had to do with the fact that Miami, who was not one of the better shooting three-pointer teams in the league, suddenly became the best three-pointer shooting team in the league. And it worked again versus the Knicks. They didn't shoot the three as well, but they still got timely contributions. Like Kyle Lowry hasn't really been impactful throughout the season, Daz, but in the playoffs, he looks like Kyle Lowry before. Like he's giving you 16 points, 7 assists, taking charges, playing tough defense. Jimmy Butler's their best player, but the guy that fires them up, I think it's a combination of Kyle Lowry and Bam Adebayo. And outside of Anthony Davis, who I think has been the best defensive player in these playoffs, I think Bam Adebayo has been the second best defensive player. Bam can impact the game with his quickness and his ability to guard in space. He's really like the size of a power forward, but he just plays bigger than his size. So I give Miami a puncher's chance, but I'm just looking at Boston, and even though they weren't at their best in the first or second round, I think they're the best team. I'm not going to change my pick. I thought a long time ago they were going to come out the East. I think they're going to come out the East, but I think Miami's going to make them earn it.
Yeah, I think Miami's going to make them earn it. It's not going to be an easy series for Boston. Like I said, health is going to be a factor too as well. Can every team in this stage of the postseason, can they stay healthy, right? But like you said, ball movement is going to be key for Miami because you already know what Boston's going to key on. Jimmy Butler. That's your guy right there. If you don't know Jimmy Buckets, who do you go to, right? And you guys, like you said, Kyle Lowry, has he stepped up? Nah, he's been 50-50. There's been days, right? There's been games here and
He's
there,
had
but
moments.
there's been moments. But we need the Kyle Lowry that we needed from Toronto. Big buckets, shoots the three, ball movement, drive in the lane, get guys in foul trouble, right? But Boston is so fundamentally sound when it comes to defense. It's gonna be hard to drive in on big guys like Al Horford. They have other guys as well. Robert Williams as well. They are like the twin towers, in my opinion. Those are the twin towers right there. You've seen it against the last series with Philly. James Harden didn't really drive as much. He didn't really drive as much. It was more Joel Embiid trying to drive in the lane, get a foul, right? Put a bigger body to get the foul. So, and Bam Adebayo, will this be a series that he has to be take another step up, right? Another step up. So,
They need that. They need Bam to give them like a 20-10 series.
exactly, 20-10. He might have to do it on a consistent basis to give Miami a chance. But this is a totally new series, new teams, new guys coming in, right? Yeah, and players that are not in there right now due to injury. Does that affect Miami as well? Because I won't lie, Tyler Hero not on the floor
That's
does
20
affect Miami.
points.
20 points, great defender as well. So now you have a guy like Duncan Robinson or other players that honestly, I had to look at that roster today after the show and
No,
see
you're
who they
right.
have.
Look,
You know,
that roster, Des, is not a who's who in the NBA. Like that roster,
yeah,
most people couldn't pick them out of a lineup. Let's be
yeah,
real. Like
exactly.
most people never heard of Matt Strus or Duncan
Yeah,
Robinson. Duncan Robinson maybe, but not Strus, not Gabe Vincent. These are not household names. This team,
mhm.
they're just grinding out wins. They're finding a way to grind out wins.
Yeah,
Someone said this before. It's a fact. This is the weakest team of the remaining four. It probably was the weakest team that's coming into the playoffs.
yeah, yeah.
Really, when you think about it, it was the weakest team coming into the playoffs. I think I just lost my camera.
You,
But you would agree, right? That
yeah.
that of the teams left, it's the weakest team left in the playoffs
It's the weakest team in the playoff right now, and like I said, people are like,
in
why
terms
am
of
I?
talent. I'm sorry, in terms of talent.
It's of talent, yeah, of talent. Defensively, they're great defensively sound. It's going to be a pound for pound matchup. Like I said, these are two. Honestly, these Final Four for the NBA, right? I call it the Final Four, the conference finals, East and the West.
And
These
maybe
are
we should, Des, maybe we should respect this coaching a little bit. Mike
yeah,
Malone,
yeah,
great coach.
hmm
Darvin Ham has been terrific managing the Lakers.
Yeah.
Joe Mazzulla's had his ups and downs, but as a rookie coach
Hmm.
to step into the position that he had to step in, I
Yeah.
think he's done a pretty good job. And then you have Coach Spo. Eric Spoelstra is probably the best coach in the NBA.
No doubt, he's the best coach in the NBA right now, and um, what he's done in that franchise for multiple years, right? Haslam, great, just veteran on the bench, but he gives you those type of knowledge. If you're on the bench, hey, look at this guy right here. Though, and that's what I gotta say too. Like people say, okay, bench players that don't play, there's all four teams that have bench players that don't play that have savvy veterans that understand the game, that understand the moment. Nuggets, DeAndre Jordan, Reggie Jackson, Jeff Green, KCP. You got to think about the Lakers. There's other veterans that don't even play, right? That sit on the bench. You got Miami, Haslam. You have Boston. You have a lot of players that sit on the bench that don't give you minutes on the floor. That probably give you garbage minutes, but give you that valuable, probably that next coach on the floor type vibe,
Those
right?
vets
That
matter.
and that matters. I think all four teams have done well this season, and like we said, I think for Denver, I think for the Lakers, the biggest person in that series, Anthony Davis. If he's not aggressive, it's a lot of weight on LeBron's shoulders and the team as well. For the Nuggets, it has to be Jamal Murray because if he's not going, then you have Nikola Jokic just straining, trying to get guys involved, and if they're not hitting their shots, then it is going to be on Nikola Jokic trying to score what
That's a
40+
great point.
points. And then you got Miami with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. They need somebody else to get that pressure out both of them right now because Boston's going to key on that. Celtics, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown. I think they got something clicking now. Because remember when they kind of sputtered a little bit in that last series, right? They struggled. And I'm like, how are you guys struggling? You guys are both two high point offensive guys, move in space, quick with the ball, shoot the three well. They just got to both just know their spots, and they're understanding that now to play alongside each other, right, and play to their strengths, not their weaknesses. And then you have, yeah, I think all four teams, that collectively, those are going to be huge. And for the Celtics, like I said, Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. So we'll see. I think honestly, I think Celtics. I say Celtics and probably I won't even say the West because like right now it's both our teams.
Sure.
After game one, it's a fill out game. I say after game two, you'll kind of see, after game two, okay, who you kind of start clicking, but it's gonna be a 7 game series.
I
But
think after game one, that's when the coaches start really getting into their strategies, right? That's
ex-
when the chess match
exactly,
clicks in. Like, I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if your Nuggets don't guard AD with Aaron Gordon, even though
yeah,
he's given up length. He's
hmm,
not giving up strength. Like strength wise, he can guard him. He's
yeah,
only giving up length. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I
yeah,
think Uncle Jeff is going to play a key role in this series as well. So look, I'm conceding depth. I'm
yeah,
conceding that the Nuggets are the more well-rounded team.
hmm,
What I'm counting on, or at least what I'm hoping, is that the guys that we added, guys like D'Lo, guys like Austin Reeves and Vanderbilt,
hmm,
I'm hoping that they can balance out your depth. Like if our guys can offset what your guys do, I'm talking about the role players, then we've got a good chance. I like our chances.
no doubt,
I'm assuming that's going to happen, but I could be very wrong, and you
yeah,
guys could just bust us up like you did Phoenix. But that's going to be the key, right? You guys
yeah,
have played with you played with 8 or 9 deep all year long,
yeah,
and they've all been productive. Now we've
yeah,
had these guys for a short while. When D'Lo plays well, we usually win, but when he doesn't play well, we usually lose. That
right,
that that impacts the game. What
right,
can Vanderbilt do? What can Austin Reeves do? And or what happens if Austin Reeves is matched up against Jamal Murray? That's a tough matchup for him because he can't guard Jamal Murray. So there's so many different chess moves that are going to get played out in this series, and
yeah,
it's messed up because we just went away from Miami and
yeah,
the Celtics. Let me get back real quick
yeah,
with Miami and the Celtics. I think we both agree our Miami and the Celtics is going to be a good series. The Heat will make them earn it, but I think we
yeah.
both think the Celtics will come out of the East.
If they're, I think yes, I agree. If the Celtics um play consistently like they did in these last two rounds, they have a chance. The thing that will be the bugaboo for the Celtics if they sputter, if they sputter, because they gave Philly a chance. They gave Philly a chance to win that series. They
They'll
gave they gave Philly a chance.
they
Where the
will leave
game
the door open sometimes.
they do, and I mean the game at Boston where they lost and them fans were booing.
Right.
I was like, oh no, how are you letting Joel Embiid a big? I mean, he's MVP, right? Length. How you make a big man dictate your game for all
Right.
4 quarters. So, and I think, like you said, Bam Adebayo is not a Joel Embiid. We all know that, but
He's not, but he's
he's not.
unique, right? He
He's
can run
unique.
the floor
Unique.
well. He doesn't shoot the three, but he can shoot a 12-foot, 15-foot jump shot. I think
So
the
that.
key to Bam's game is running. His quickness, his activity.
Hmm.
We talked about it. If he gives you 20 and 10 consistently,
Yeah.
then now we're talking about a series, right?
Yeah.
Um, and who's to say that Boston can stop Jimmy Butler? What if Jimmy Butler does Boston like he did Milwaukee?
Yeah.
The thing I like about Jimmy Butler is he seems to raise his game up to his competition. So
Yep.
I'm sure the plan is to control Jimmy Butler, but let's see if they can actually make that happen because that's easier said than done.
No doubt. No doubt. So we'll definitely see. We'll definitely see, Mo.
Before we get out of here, Des, one more question, because this is kind of something that we can't get out of here without talking about. What are your thoughts on the John Morant situation, and what type of suspension do you think he deserves?
For John Morant, you gotta look at the situation you were doing. I guess it was like a rap video or a music video or something. And you have a gun, right? And it's on Instagram Live. Your first thing is, okay, why are you on social media? You know you're on social media. Why you got a gun in your hand? If I'm on social media and I see somebody, the dude driving, right, and you see all these, and you're in Instagram Live, it shows you those little live feeds, right? Think about the situation, man. Your team wasn't about to go in the playoffs, and you had a situation happen here in Denver. That's a distraction to your team. Your team got knocked out the playoffs. You're a leader for that organization, face of the franchise, and you do this again. Um, I think I'm glad the Grizzlies suspended him from all activities. I don't think that um I don't think that really did much though, because you think about it, it's the offseason. The only thing that
Right.
did the only like
The
they're done.
Grizzlies are trying. What you know? What the Grizzlies are trying to do, Des? They're
Yeah,
trying to beat the NBA to the punch. They're like, we suspended him, but like you said, it's the offseason. What
yeah,
did you suspend him for? The gym? He can go
yeah.
to a gym. So you
He
didn't really
goes to the gym.
suspend him from anything. He wasn't
Yeah,
doing anything for you. So
yeah,
they're trying to cut off what the NBA is going to do. Because
yeah.
I think you're looking at least a 25 game suspension.
25 game suspension. People say, "Oh, the whole season next year." No, I think 25 to 30 game suspension, probably 50 games, right? A fine. Definitely take some classes, but he's already taken classes.
Well,
He
how about take more than like a week's worth of classes? How about while you're gone for 25 games, like take
yeah,
about a couple of months worth?
couple months worth.
Clearly, you
Um,
need some work.
No doubt. Yeah, definitely some work, and that whole roster, that whole organization right now. You got Dylan Brooks, right? Really mouthy. These guys are really young. I mean, I'm young. I'm 26, but these guys are really mouthy. And you see what happened with the Lakers. They got mouthy. They got physical, and they got punched in the dang mouth and smacked out the playoffs. Right. Their future is bright, but they got to really look at, okay, as an organization, this is the face of the franchise in the community. This guy has had so many off the court issues so far, and he's about to get another. He's trying to get another contract right now. Like,
Right.
if I'm him, you trying to get a bag. You got endorsement deals, you got a shoe deal. Why mess that up now? Right. So he has so many off the court distractions. Um, I mean, he's had the kid where he assaulted that,
The
he's suing him.
17-year-old.
You
Yeah.
know, exactly. Then you have the thing here in Denver at the strip club and pictures showing off once you lost the dang game. And then the third one is, this situation here. This is the second time this happened with the gun situation. If I'm the organization, you're going to have at least I mean, they probably had a talk already, but there literally needs to be a team around him, because right now he's just messing his career up right now. Future NBA star, Hall of Famer. I mean, the way he plays the dang game is so physical, but it's like another, and not saying like Derrick Rose, because Derrick Rose never did this to his career, but it was injuries, right, that messed up his career. Going into the paint and driving how he does and how physical he is going to take a strain on your body. And I don't know why he's doing this, because you look at his background before he even got in the NBA. He was in prep school, right? Like prep school,
Yeah, I
nice
believe he
family,
came from a middle class family.
middle class family, and now it's kind of like, oh, I'm hood with the rappers. Like, dude, you don't have to live that lifestyle. I think someone said this. I think in a documentary, a lot of the NBA players back in the day, right, try to live that lifestyle where it was like, oh, I'm gangster. I'm with the rap people, right? You don't have to compete. You're playing on the biggest stage, NBA. You have endorsements. You're in the face of the community. So like I said, I don't know why. Who said this? I think Shannon Sharp, when he came on the court. Why are you acting so tough? He said, I don't know why these guys want to act so tough. You ain't tough. Just play your game, man. That's it. Your
Right.
game will speak for itself. So I think if I'm the organization, long story short, have a sit down talk intervention. You know what? Then the NBA is going to talk to your organization. They're going to come with suspensions. It's going to come with a fine. It's going to come with this amount of community service, this amount of work, right? You can't defend, okay, I was in a music video. You got to know your situation, man. If I know I'm in a music video, hey, we ain't doing no Instagram live, man. Because Instagram goes viral. You're John Morant. You ain't no Joe Schmo, whatever. You're John Morant, you know? So,
with a
and then
track
too,
record.
yeah. And if I'm John Morant, you got to take full responsibility. You already know your face is already on the Instagram post. The thing I would have put, and you people say, oh, you can put a statement out there. I mean, if I was him, I would have put a damn statement out there, but I wouldn't even done it in the damn first place. You know, understand the situation. Now your family's and that's just a lot of and your sister too. Is getting highly recruited to go in the in the women's college basketball and getting recruited. So not only does it affect him, but now it affects your family. It affects
Sure.
how you roll. And as an organization, like I said, they got to look at this closely. I think they are. They got. If I was the organization, probably look in this year's draft. Maybe they know they got some capital. And I know you have John Morant as your main point guard. You have Jones as your second primarily point guard, which is really, really efficient. You might have to work, and say, hey, Ja, you're facing the franchise right now, but we already know you're not going to be in these games. We have to look to see who can give us the best chance to win while you're not on the court. And
Right.
actually, we've seen it in the playoffs. They're better without him on the damn court than when he's on the court. That is sad. They're better without him off the court than on the court. So they can win without him. They said it. They can win without him.
He's a special talent.
He's special talent.
I'm not sure he's proven yet that he's the kind of special talent that can be the best player on a title winning team or title contending team.
Mm-hmm.
He's shown me that he can be productive and he can put up numbers and he's spectacular. And he can help you get into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't have the maturity to be a leader.
Right.
And you don't have to be a leader vocally. You could just be a leader by example. And I'm not sure he has that level of maturity either. His problem is he just needs to grow up. This is about decision making. And I know everything shouldn't be based off of money, but you worked your whole life to get to the point that you're at.
Right.
You're playing basketball for a living, getting paid millions to play the game of basketball. You're getting endorsements worth millions. You're setting up your family for generational wealth, and you're making these type of decisions that can impact and wipe all that away.
Right.
And I know people are quick to say, well, he's got a father. I understand he has a father, but remember, he's not 16 or 17. He's a young man, but he is a grown man.
He is a grown man, though. He is a grown man.
And he needs to make better, more mature decisions. Clearly, he needs, we talk about this all the time. You need that vet. You talked about what Haslam does for the Heat. Maybe what Steven Adams tried to do with the Grizzlies. You need that vet in your ear, somebody that can just bend your ear a little bit and you're willing to listen and learn from. That's just my thoughts. And that's our show for today. This was Coffee and Sports in the Morning. We will be back tomorrow, hopefully with the great coach, Coach Dante, our guy, king of the streams, Key, and me, Mo, along with Desmond.
Yes,
hey, Des, tonight, Nuggets, Lakers.
I'm excited.
Tell them where they can find you at, Des.
Okay. So you can find me on Instagram, Desmond2015-234, Empire Sports Network. I got a YouTube channel. I'll definitely put that in the link as well, starting that as well. And then I'm on Twitch as well, Desi Ward 2015. So I'll definitely go live on YouTube tonight while I'm at the game. To awesome. Definitely just show like the experience for sure. Definitely take some video footage for the squad. Definitely try to get some merch for the squad as well. I think they're gonna probably bring. I don't know if it's t-shirt or towels. See, Denver, they don't tell you what you'll get until you get there.
Right.
But the festivities are gonna be nice. So definitely check it out. I definitely appreciate the show. Sorry it came a little late, but it's good to go on with you, Mo.
I'm just glad to be on with you. I love having you on. You can guys find me at Sports Empire Network and also check out the podcast NBA Cypher. Hey, this is Coffee and Sports in the Morning for Mo and Des. We're out.
We're out.